Welcome to another episode of Stories of Awakening podcast. Today, I have with me two of my friends, Lilly and Austin. You might remember Lilly. She was in the podcast exactly a year ago. She was one of the first guests. And today they are here because I've been interviewing people about conscious relationships. So this is part of this thing that I'm doing right now. And I met them at Arkadia. You might have heard me talking about Arkadia. And yeah, since then we stayed in touch, and I really, really love their relationship. So yeah, I brought them to the podcast to talk about it. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Vale. We're so excited to be here. So
Yeah.
excited to talk to you more about this. It's a topic that we have learned a lot about throughout our experience. So I'm excited to share some more.
Thank you. And we actually talked a little bit about it at the end of our podcast episode last time, but I think, yeah, it's beautiful to have also Austin here so we can have also man perspective on things, which is great. So I will start with your story, whatever you want to share, the good and the bad, everything that you want to share.
Probably go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess to give you kind of the nutshell summary version, we met in college. We were both going to university in Southern California, and we were going to different schools, but our schools were rivals in sports, and we ended up meeting. We actually met on Tinder, which is funny. You never know where you're going to meet your partner. Definitely didn't have the intention of getting married and having the life we have now, but that's part of the fun. And yeah, we just connected right away. Our relationship from the beginning was very powerful. There was a lot of chemistry between us. We both had, I remember on one of the first times we'd hung out, we looked at each other and we were just like, I feel like we've known each other our whole lives. Like it was just that instant feeling of like, this feels like home, really. And we weren't expecting it to go on as long as it has, but those feelings were there. And then over time we just kept dating and having a lot of fun together, and we just had a great time together. And then we graduated from college, and I, not being American, was, kind of put on this time bomb of I either need to get married, find a job that's going to sponsor me with a work visa, which was hard to do, especially because I didn't want to do what I was doing in college, or go back to Costa Rica. And all I knew was that I loved this man and I wanted to stay with him and figure it out. And so through a lot of just thinking about it and feeling into things, and honestly really just feeling into our hearts for the first time in our lives, and making a decision that was just based on love and not societal programming or what we should do or what is logical or what is safe or everything we've been taught. We decided to elope, and we got married, and that's really when our lives began. In many ways, it was suddenly like the doors were open for us to pave our own path and figure it out together, and we did. And we've just been through so many ups and downs since, so many different chapters of life. We have gone on our awakening journey together, every step of the way, and just have transformed into so many different versions of ourselves. And yeah, now we live in Colorado together. No kids yet, but we do have a little dog. And we've created a really beautiful life that inspires evolution individually and together in this partnership. So
Great job. I would have screwed that up. So it's fantastic.
You want to add anything?
Yeah, it's just been the ride of our lives, and it's been something that we've continuously invested into every single day, and waking up every morning and choosing one another and falling deeper in love and allowing that love to mature, and then continuously just showing up every day and inspiring one another to grow and to evolve and to become the best version of ourselves has been the greatest journey for me. And I'm super grateful that it's all unfolded the way that it has, and I wouldn't have chosen it any different. And I'm just like so excited to know that like love only deepens as two people continuously put time, effort, and energy into a relationship. And I'm just excited to see where we go. And like this is 1 decade down. Like, what does it look like 2 decades or 3 decades from now? Like, this is my person. This is my human. Like that true love that everyone talks about. Like that's what we have. And so we've built our lives around it. We've built a community around it, and like it's just been one of the most fulfilling and inspiring things that I've ever been a part of. So I'm just super, super grateful. And I love you very much.
That's so amazing, guys. And it's so good to hear that love deepens, because also this is something that you hear a lot, the love goes away with time and things, is inevitable, and I can see it's not the same for you. So I know it can be different, and you can love more and more. And of course, the love changes, but I know it can grow even. So it's great. And I wanted to ask you, because of course, some people might be on a similar journey, but they are maybe going through some difficult times. So did you have difficult times in this journey, and what was the most difficult part, let's say, of building the relationship that you have right now?
Definitely have had difficult times, still do. Like that's one thing, obviously here, as we explain, looking back on our relationship and everything we've been through, it's easy to mention all the good, and a lot, I would say more good obviously has come than hard, but it's because of all the hardships that we have overcome and obstacles that we still overcome that I think the love is allowed to deepen. And so yeah, just being very real with that, and normalizing the fact that relationships are really challenging. Like that's part of what makes them so rewarding, is that they are confronting. Like there's nowhere to hide in a romantic relationship, with especially like marriage. Like when you're really committed to a long-term relationship, there's all of your stuff will come out on both sides, and so it's how you deal with that as a team. I think that really just shows or results in either a good relationship or one that's not. And some of the hardest ones, I mean, so when we were in college and university, I was like deeply in love, and it was, we were having a great time, and just still having a lot of fun together, and our relationship was really good even back then. But then right before we graduated, so we'd been together for like maybe 3 years, and then he actually broke up with me senior year right before we graduated, for no real reason. I mean, no reason other than that he just wanted to. I think it was the fear of commitment, truly, because you've grown up with a single dad, and I'll let you kind of go into that. But from my perspective, he was really honest. He was really clear. He was just like doing what he thought he needed to do, and just be like, this is getting too serious. Like I want to explore what's left of college, and I want to do it out of respect. But I was just heartbroken, because I was just like, our relationship's going so well, and like I thought deep down I was like, I really wanted to marry him, and it was just like crushing all my dreams. And so, but I let him go. And then that's like one thing that my mom really taught me well, was just like, don't chase, and just like let someone be. If that's what they decide, like if you really love them, like allow them to do what they think they need to do. And even though on my end I was a mess, I let him go. And for 4 months we didn't talk, and I didn't run after him or like try to change his mind. I just like let myself be in my emotions. And my mom was always just like, if it's meant to be, it will. And eventually we reconnected, and then from there he committed 100%. But that time apart was really powerful, because it's what allowed him to realize that this is actually what he wanted. And I think if we would have forced it and stayed together because we were afraid to lose what we had or whatever else, then it would have, I don't know. I don't think it would have cemented as deeply and viscerally as it's like, you don't know what you want until it's gone kind of thing. It's like we had to physically experience that. So that was one of the ones at the very beginning. Is there anything you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, just elaborate on that. I think that her ability to allow me the space I needed was the most powerful thing about that entire experience. And that was what that 4 months of me going and being in, I had to go get the rest of the shit out of my system. I had to just I had to go be a, early 20s dude and just like go live the college life for a little bit longer. And like, it was fine, but like, I was so unfulfilled, like nothing that I experienced in that time, like, even touched an ounce of like what we share together. And so after 4 months, actually, interestingly enough, my grandma had a stroke, and my Lily was close with my grandparents, and they were in San Diego, it's just a couple hours away. And so I hit her up, and I'm like, hey, I know we haven't talked, but like, I want you to go take you to see my grandma. And so I went to take her to see them, and I just remember like my grandpa like caring for my grandma and just being like, wow, like that's like that undying like love. Like he's actually like he thinks he's gonna lose her, like, and I could see that like depth of the 50 something years of marriage they'd been in. And then I looked over at Lily, and it was like a light bulb went off in my brain, and I'm like, oh my God, like that's what I have with her. Like that's what we have. It's amazing. Like, and literally like within the next couple of days, like we were back together again, and like I never looked back. And it was that space that allowed me to go explore what I needed to explore and get the rest of the things out of my system, and her letting go that really allowed me to come back together with her in a much more profound and strong way. And so, yeah, I'm super grateful for the way that you handled that. And because it was like incredibly mature for our age at the time. I was expecting, the drunk calls and the texts and the whatever. I didn't get any of that. And that was like,
That's hard.
that was what did it for me, honestly. So
yeah. And then we'll just give one more, because, that was kind of earlier in our relationship. We were still very young and, figuring it out. But as we've gone on this more spiritual journey together in this evolution, we have also just been through so many, I guess, not smaller, but just different versions of challenges. Like, when we first had our awakening journey, Austin was forced to go like back into his childhood and heal through a lot of emotional wounds and like relationship with his mom, like through the divorce, and a lot that was coming up for him. Like he was kind of taught to shut off his emotions for a long time. And the awakening and the journey and the healing that we chose to go on like forced him to go back and like feel a lot. And so it turned him into more of like he was accessing his like young boy again. And for our relationship, that kind of forced me to go into this more of like nurturing parent, like almost like motherly energy. And that was a really challenging time for us too. And you were like, in a dark spot for a little while there, like not really, because he quit the fire career that he was going to become a firefighter paramedic, and had no idea what was next. And we were just in full trust. But for and then we moved to Colorado without knowing anyone in the beginning of the pandemic.
We basically just cut ties with our entire past and like had no idea what the future held. And then like the world is falling apart.
Yeah.
And like I'm going through processing all of my emotional trauma and things that I need to go through. And like she steps into the role of single mother. I go into the child role because I had a couple of like mother wounds. I had multiple divorces from my childhood. And like it was just like this big role reversal, and she's stepping into her business and like embodying more of that masculine presence as well, while I'm really going deep into my feminine. And like it was necessary, like it needed to happen. And at the same time, it was like really challenging for us to come out of that.
Yeah.
Like I would say the last, like that was 4 years ago when that started, and it lasted for about a year and a half or 2 years. And this last 2 years has finally been me finding my own manhood and like really stepping into that masculine role again, and allowing her to step back into her feminine and feel safe enough to be and express the way that she's supposed to. So I would just say to anyone out there, like who is going through any challenges in your relationship, like nothing happens or changes overnight. Like these things take a long time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy, and it requires both parties showing up every single day to support each other through the pain, through the misery, through all of the emotions and the feelings, and to hold each other in that, and to allow each other to feel and express exactly the way that we need to individually. And that safety of a container relationship is what's necessary to make that happen, in a way that allows both parties to heal and to grow together. But ultimately, it is not an easy journey, and it's not something that happens, like this. It takes time, and it takes a lot of consistent effort and showing up. So yeah, we're 4 years in, and like I feel like now, like we're both like we can finally like sigh that breath of relief, and we're really like stepping into our own, power.
Wow, guys, thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I think it's very important for people to hear, because, social media, especially, you show stuff there and everything seems so easy and perfect. But I think it's very important to share also these stages. So if people are going through it, they know they're not alone and there is hope also, And I really like what you say, Austin, about really, it is challenging and it takes commitment and really choose the other person. And I really think that because of the challenges, as you said, you can love more, and because you keep choosing that person even with the challenges, you decided to stay. And that to me is real love in the end.
Yeah, it's such a commitment. It's not running away when things get hard. And that a lot of that is recognizing that like the challenges that come up in relationship for the most part are a reflection of what's going on within you. And so, what I've witnessed a lot with friends and just people around me is this running away when it gets hard because they're projecting as if it's like all the issues are on their partner. Sometimes, yes, like sometimes that is an intuitive signal that like maybe that person's not the partner for you. But a lot of times I think it just takes like staying and choosing to look at it, and like choosing to look at it within you and allowing the other person to do the same. And like that becomes a really powerful container again for growth, because you are choosing to stay when it's hard and choosing to learn from it. And then that's how you keep accessing deeper and deeper layers, as opposed to then just like always staying in a honeymoon phase where everything feels great and beautiful. And then as soon as like the stuff comes up, you run to the next person and start over. It's like you never reach the depth and maturity that can happen when you just choose to stay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, something that I realized that if you are aware that whatever is coming up is something within you, also, that you're creating the reality somehow. So if you don't face it with that person, it will come up with the next one. So you're trying to escape. But actually, even if it will not last with that person, I think it's still worth like trying to understand what's within you is creating that kind of friction or reality, because it's going to come back otherwise until you heal, let's say, that part of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, it's like there's no quote unquote right person for anyone. Like it's the continuous, like it's, you might have that magnetic connection, but that wears off in the first couple of years. Like after that honeymoon phase, like it goes away, and that's when it really gets difficult, because now you can't lean on the amazing hot sex and the deep chemistry, and like you can't lean on that anymore. So like yes, it's still around, and like, but you have to work to cultivate that. You have to continue to, like I said, like we talked about, like choose each other every single day, and like learn about how to treat your partner properly, and how to support them, and how to make them feel loved and feel seen and feel supported. And it's not like, that's also part of the work too, is like after the sheen of the beauty of of new love wears off. And like this is why I think too, like getting married, for instance, like having a huge blowout $100,000 wedding, like for this new love. Like new love is easy. Like why are we celebrating the fact that these people, like I love it, it's great, like fantastic, but people are spending tens hundreds of thousands of dollars on this wedding for this new love, and like they haven't even gone through the challenges yet. They're still on the surface. And like I think that like I really liked that we eloped and we just did it in a little courthouse. Like my grandparents were our witnesses, and it was just like there's like 7 or 8 of us in the room, and I was almost late. I was having a couple shots with my uncle at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I was just like, oh my god, I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting married. I'm like, I was 22 or 23, and but like and we did that, but it was beautiful because it didn't cost a lot of money, but it was just for us and it was real, and it was just like it was a commemoration of the love that we have. But ultimately, after a decade now of being together, like in the next couple of years, like we want to bring our community and bring the depth of love that we've cultivated and celebrate that. Like I want to spend $100,000. I don't want to spend $100,000 on a wedding, but like I want to spend good money on a wedding that we can celebrate true love that stood the test of time. And I'm really excited for when that comes, because that celebration is going to mean so much more than it would have, had it been at the very beginning. And so, yeah.
Oh my God, this message is for me, guys. Thank you so much for saying that.
Eloping in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be just for you guys.
Thank you. Well, I totally agree with this. I agree about, for the longest time, I really realized this recently in my latest relationship in the last couple of years, that really it's not about these butterflies in the stomach. It's not about the feelings, these intense feelings that you can feel at the beginning. Is really not that, because that will go away, and feelings are not reliable in that sense. Any feeling comes and go. So it must be deeper than that. And to me, I realize it's really about choosing the other person. That's to me is love. And yeah, thank you so much for saying that. And I totally agree about this wedding thing that you said.
Mhm.
It's really true. And yeah, it's worth like celebrating after years and years of, overcoming challenges. I think it's worth it. Yeah, I really like it. Thank you for this. I'm sure it's, it's a message for me.
Yeah, and just like, like revel in it, like be in that moment together, like do it for you. These big weddings, they're for everyone else. It's like it's cool, but like it's about you guys. So like go to your place, do your thing, like have your moment, share your memories that you'll have for a lifetime, and then build and then, bring everyone together in a decade from now and celebrate that. Like that, like with everyone. But I think it's beautiful, marriage and relationship and choosing someone and like choosing to go through life with them, and to withstand the hardships that life brings, and to support each other through all of that, and to continuously just love each other every day through the good and the bad and the ugly.
Exactly. And I think I don't know where my idea came from, this I really realized how much I was conditioned by society. And, well, I repeat it basically in any episode of my podcast, but the culture here in Italy is all about families. Like, this is the only thing that people care about. If you're married, if you have kids, like, they don't celebrate anything else. And I realized how much conditioning there was also around like weddings. And then when our situation made us choose actually eloping, I had a bit of grief because I said, well, that's what I always thought it would be. But then I really realized that it's really about us, just the two of us. It's not a show for others, which is beautiful to have people that love you be there in this important day, of course, and it can happen also later in time. But yeah, it's really about the two of us. And I never realized all these things. And it's not that people told me directly, but I just saw what everyone else was doing around me. And I thought that was what I was supposed to do. But yeah, I'm so glad to hear these things from you. Yeah, I don't feel alone in taking a different kind of choice or path, breaking the rules.
Yeah, Vale, I felt the same way. I mean, looking back, these are our thoughts about it, and it's like, wow, but this wasn't necessarily the path we chose for ourselves from the beginning. Like, life takes you on your unique journey, and I think it's about trusting that, like, whatever is unfolding is meant for you, and someday you're gonna find the gift in it. Because when it first happened, we kept it a secret. Because we were so conditioned, and there was so much fear around it, and I also was so like deeply, like, I thought that what I wanted was this huge wedding, and like, the way that it's romanticized and shown, and again, there's everyone has their own path, and if like that's yours, and that's beautiful too. I really believe that. But for us, like life clearly just had different plans for us. We didn't have the money, we didn't have the capacity, and we weren't old enough to even have a wedding like that. And so that's what we ended up doing, keeping it a secret. We kept it a secret. Well, our families knew, but no one else, everyone just thought we were engaged for like 2 years, because my plan was like, I still want to have this wedding and I want it to feel real, and then we grew and our awakening happened, and we suddenly sat there and we were just like, this wedding's not going to happen anytime soon, and we're totally okay with that. We want to spend that money on traveling and like building our life. And now looking back, we can say all the things that we're saying because we're like, oh wow, it truly happened exactly the way that it needed to. But at the moment, at the time, I was like, there's just so much conditioning. So I totally resonate with that. But just like
Yeah.
trust your path, and someday you'll find the gift in it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Um, so this is how I define everything that you went through and you described and how you handle everything. This is how I would describe conscious relationships, which is definitely something that I want to have, and I'm having right now, but there is always space to evolve. But how would you define conscious relationship? What do you think is the difference between, society doesn't talk about conscious relationship much
Yeah.
yet. Yeah.
I would say, from my perspective, conscious relationship is a relationship between two people who are choosing conscious evolution within themselves, choosing to evolve, to grow emotionally and spiritually and mentally, and physically. But just, yeah, it's that choice of being in it for the evolution, for the journey of improvement, of bettering ourselves individually and therefore within the relationship, right? And I think with that perspective, because if not, you're just kind of, I mean, and we're not taught this, so it's hard, right? It's not like you get to choose when you don't know that it's even a choice. But once you're in it, you can recognize that like it's so much deeper than just like, oh yeah, we signed a piece of paper, we're married, and like we get to be like partners in life. Like when you can see it as this like conscious evolution where like my soul chose him right now, or continues to for now until as long as I feel like that's an appropriate choice to help me evolve, and vice versa. And it's from that perspective and within that context, every hardship, every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth and deepening self-love, and therefore love between us. Because yeah, it's like there's just so much to it, that on like a spiritual sense, the way that I see it, it's just like we're here to help each other grow, right? In community, but especially within relationships. Like we only know each other because of relationships, because of relating to another person, the same way that like you don't really know what you look like unless you look in the mirror. That's kind of the same thing. And so I think a conscious relationship is looking at it that way and choosing to grow with the other person.
Very well said. I agree with all of that. And yeah, I think the best analogy is just like the mirror thing. It's like we're both looking at each other, we're both growing with each other and seeing like the reflection of our own insecurities and our own past traumas, and our like everything is being triggered and pulled up by the other person, and we're complementary opposites, we're magnets. So it's like I live a completely different life than she does. She lives completely different life than I do, but like we, plug in, and we like it's that perfect it's just that perfect complement to each other that makes everything work. And it's the fact that we are continuously choosing to grow in every moment and to see the other person as a reflection of ourself, and then continuously stepping into a better version of self through the experience that we're having with the other person, and through being committed to a better path. We're like, the way I see it is like, if you're you have these two mirrors. It's kind of like two strands of DNA. And like as we are continuously reflecting back at each other, we're kind of like spinning upward like that, like a DNA structure. It's like we're the two, the strands that are mirroring each other and continuously growing. And I don't think that there's no end to it. Like that's the thing, is like we can reach depth and we can grow in all these different ways. And I think too, like for me, community has been like the biggest aspect of like, or one of the biggest aspects of our growth as well. Cause like that is a whole other, it's like there's us in the middle, where these two mirrors facing each other. But like, I think that people get, without having community to reflect off of, like individually and together, we don't actually see the truth or the fullness of ourselves. And it's like when through community, I feel like both of us have been able to create basically been able to find ourselves in ways that both of us have not been able to share, like pull out of each other. Because two mirrors is only two mirrors, but when you have 30 other mirrors around you and each of us are interacting with all these individuals in different ways and together and separately, it's like I see our personalities and our experience as this little color palette of condensed colors in the middle. And it's like each person in the community pulls out a piece of the self, a different piece that you didn't know existed until you met this human being. And it's like as you stretch it, this color palette gets wide. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen the kids with like the big rainbow like circle blanket, and they all run underneath it and everyone's waving it. It's like a thing that kids did in elementary school. But like that's the way I see like my personality now. And only was that possible through the cultivation of community, that we've actually, what's been really beautiful about this conscious relationship we built is that we've built this community together with other people. But I feel like it's like stemmed from this core true depth of love that we've built from the middle. So it's like it's like radiating outward.
Yeah.
And attracting and pulling in all of these amazing human beings, and like creating the safety and the container for more of what we've built between us, which is this conscious growth evolution container. And then we bring other people into that, and like, hey, I'll bring you in here too, and like let's all grow together. And like from this core of true deep love that we have between each other, we've been able to expand into this beautiful community and inspire others with what we've created as well, which I think has been like super powerful for our own expansion too.
Yeah, I love that. I love working on the two of you first and then bringing out what you have built within you too is beautiful. Yeah. And I saw your community, I met them, and it's definitely something magical. And you inspired me for sure as well. I always say it, but yeah, I like to repeat it. And what I really like, and I mentioned it also the other time that I spoke to Lily, but what really opened my eyes when I saw you guys the first time at Arcadia was the freedom that you had. And that's also something that I don't see much around here where I'm from. And there is this constriction. Now you're married or you're a couple. So you do everything together. It's just the two of you. And then, yeah, you can have friends with other, like dinner with other friends. But, there is not much time separate or alone or to do your own things. And what I saw even at the festival, you were doing your own things and then you were coming back together at some point. And that really also opened my eyes, because I even if I thought I was quite someone that was letting the other person free, when I saw you, I said, no, there is something that I still need to work on. There is not that trust. So definitely, yeah, I had a lot of fears of letting the other person be free, but I think it's essential.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. I'm so glad you bring this up, because this has been a huge part of our relationship in the past like 2 years, year and a half, that there's always new layers to the relationship. Like, what are we working on now? And I think that evolves naturally. Like, you don't have to try to control that, but it's, I think where we're at now is a really good like indicator and result of like what we've put in, the work and the time that we've put in. Because if you would have asked me 5 years ago, how like if I could let him like be free, and in the sense of just like you said at the festival, like not feeling like I need to control him or always have my eye on him, or we always need to do everything together. Like we, especially at festivals, is this time to just like explore yourself and have fun. It's like full self-expression, right? So, and because we're different people and we like different things, we allow each other just freedom to like go and like hang out with people and give love platonically and like share hugs and like dance with other people, and because we've built so much trust with each other, you know, and we know each other's boundaries and we respect that when there's such clear communication that we know we just really, yeah, it comes down to really clear communication and trust, but that has come from a good amount of time that we've put in, you know, and really learning about each other and understanding each other's insecurities and wounds and making sure that we can hold the container while still giving each other the freedom. And that I think that this is a piece that people are afraid to go into in long-term relationships, that over time can really break relationships, because no human wants to be controlled, and we want our freedom. Like we just do. We want to be in relationship, but we still want to feel free enough to make our own choices and live the life that we desire, really. And then we actually want to choose the other person because we're like, oh, we can do anything. I'm so free. You give me this freedom, and yet like you still love me. Like that is so powerful. And but it's taken a lot of work. And like, especially this, you know, past year, I did a lot of work on myself, because I would say I had more insecurities than Austin. Like I used to be someone that was just, yeah, very afraid of you know, letting my boyfriend or my husband go with like go do his own thing. Like I had to know at all times, whatnot. But what I realized is that it's my own insecurity. And me trying to control him is never going to solve my own insecurity, nor is it going to make him love me more, because it's like the more that you hang on to something, the more they want to pull away. That's just physics. And
Yes.
especially for the masculine's like main desire and it's freedom ultimately. And to be able to cultivate enough trust in the relationship to then let it get to this place where we can play and explore and then come back. You know, there's moments that we've had learned from this where it's like, I am not feeling good about myself, and like I'm just like really in my head about this and da da da. But I bring it to him, and then we can talk about it, and he meets me there. And so, yeah, there's so much to this conversation, but I just want to let anyone know out there that like there's nothing wrong with you if there's fear about trusting your partner more. It also depends on like what you've experienced and the trauma that you've had. But especially if you're in the beginning few years of a relationship, it just takes time, and it takes really honest communication and setting really clear boundaries. But ultimately, like that insecurity, if you're willing to look at it within yourself, is what's going to transform your relationship, because it is not your partner's job to make you feel, you know, more safe or more, I mean, like they play a role in it, but it's ultimately like that is within you, and you can cultivate that if you're in a healthy relationship. Like your partner can support you in that, but that is ultimately yours. And you unlock a new level of self-love and self-confidence and self-trust that spews into the relationship and amplifies it. It's really beautiful. I could go on and on, but
I know, and I remember Lily, I think, I don't know when it was, probably a year ago. I remember calling you or messaging anyway, and because I am in a long distance relationship. And so there are a lot of insecurities and, you know, jealousy that can come up when you are not with your partner all the time. And also, you know, it's been a long distance relationship since the beginning. So it's just a different situation. And I remember there was this occasion where I got jealous for something that happened. And I remember you telling me it's not about this girl, it's about how he respond when you tell him how you feel about it. And that was, yeah, really, yeah, I realized that it seems so obvious for me right now, but you made me realize, yeah, it's not about what's happening, is when you feel insecure if the other person is willing to listen to you and maybe find a compromise or something to make you feel more safe. But yeah, it wasn't the solution. I knew it wasn't tell him not to go out or, stay home or do nothing. It was about really talking about it and see how he could respond to that.
Absolutely. It's like the more it's like a kid, the more they tell a kid you can't do something, the more that kid wants to do it, because our nature is just like not like, I want to be free essentially. And so the more that like trust is cultivated within a respectful way, then it just, like I said, it ends up polarizing the other person back to you. And I guess maybe I'll let you speak to that too from the masculine perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like being able to live with an open heart and not chasing anything outside of self, but being able to like give love, like just freely, like hugs and dancing and just being like with like friends and community. And like for both of us, like that's been a really healing thing for me. And like, to like the freedom aspect, it's like, it's so funny because it's like, I feel like in relationships where there's a lot of control, everyone's fighting to get free. And like the moment like I feel like I was able to be free, I didn't even want to chase outside. Like I didn't even like like because I was now given this freedom, like I'm like, well, I actually just want to choose you. Like I like just want to be here and be with you. Like I choose, I'm almost, and that's even a more powerful choice because it's not like I'm obligated. It's like I'm here choosing this every day because it's what I truly desire. And that to me has been like the cornerstone and the foundation of like this, I feel like this new layer of relationship that we've built, where it's like this trust is just coming from true choice. And like and just like I just deeply love you, and I like will continue to love you forever. But the fact that I get to choose that, and I get to choose it every morning when I wake up next to you, like that to me has been one of the most powerful things. And yeah, I mean, as far as um, like the idea of like codependency and interdependency, like I feel like most relationships are, because it's usually two wounded children who are, who have bonded with each other and are creating a relationship. And if you're not looking at your stuff, like you're going to continuously be dependent on the other person for their opinion, for their, approval, for their, you're leaning on them for all of your decision making. And like we're individually, like we're sovereign beings, like we're souls on our own journey. And like the fact that like we get to we get to be on our own individual path while also choosing to be together as well, it's like that's been epic. That's just been like such a cool aspect of our journey as well. And so it's like someone even told me like at Arkadia actually, and he's just like, wow, you two are like so like interdependent. Like we're like you said, we're going out and doing our own thing and having a great time, and then we're coming back to each other, and like that every time we come back, it's like the magnetism is even stronger, and we're even more supportive and even more connected. And like it's more of like a very positive feedback loop, and we continuously feel more safe and more trustworthy and more connected through this aspect of this interdependent relationship, as opposed to constantly leaning on each other and always just being like dependent on the other person's essentially the other person's
I get it. Yeah,
validation. There you go.
yeah, and many people want the other person to make them happy, but you are the only one that can make yourself happy. And of course, you can leave relationships they're unhealthy and don't make you happy, but yeah, you cannot wait for others to meet all of your needs. That's for sure. It's something that I had to learn as well.
I just want to add one quick thing if I can, because I was working with a mentor last year for like 8 months, and Austin and I were like, again, working on this theme of freedom and trust and whatnot, and expanding that into this next level. And something that she said to me that has stuck with me so much, and this is, again, this is within the context of a conscious relationship, but she said something along the lines of like, how beautiful is it to give someone complete freedom and still watch them choose you?
Yeah.
And it was just like it exploded me in so many ways, because I'm just like, within marriage, we've been conditioned to think that like, you signed this paper and now you are mine. And like, it's like this like control of like, well, you're my husband, it's my person, mine. And it's like, you don't own anyone. Like, yes, you committed and you made a commitment, and like you both put in the boundaries and the respect of like what that means, and if you break that, then there's consequences. But on a very spiritual sense, like, we are two individual souls and no one owns anyone. And so love is not love if you're just doing it because you think you have to, or because you signed a piece of paper. That's how we end up cheating on each other and like lying and stuff, because you feel like you can't still explore in some ways, like just be the free, authentic, loving person that you are. And so it just has expanded my capacity of like, what is love really? And we continue to face hardship in that. My insecurities keep coming up. Like, the fears don't go away, but it's, again, the way that you handle that and like the trust you build with yourself and the other person, that it just gets like really, really deep, and it's really beautiful. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
add that.
No, thank you for adding that. Yeah.
And to expand on that just a little bit more too, is like, I think that, well, I believe that, feel deeply that relationships are meant to evolve. They're meant to grow. They're meant to change. They're meant to shift. They're meant to transform. It requires like, and the only way that a relationship can do any of those things is through honesty and communication.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the foundation that we've built of trust and communication over the years has allowed us to be the way that we're being right now, and to feel that safety within the containers that we can do this together, and we can do it separately. And also just the freedom that is given through radical, authentic honesty and expression individually and together, there's nothing like it. And so I think that the idea of marriage as a construct is limiting in certain senses, and can be crippling to that love that wants to expand and grow. And like, relationship wants to be whatever it wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tell it, here are the rules, follow the rules, it's like you're telling love to collapse itself into a box and that's when the things that it starts to fall apart. And like she said, the lying and the cheating and all this stuff happens because the relationship isn't being given any room to breathe.
Yeah, it's not being nourished.
It's not being nourished, and it's not given the opportunity to express and free itself in a way that it wants to express. Mm-hmm. So I just would say too that like, any relationship between any two people is always going to be completely unique and different from anyone else. So giving a vanilla, one size fits all approach to an entire species it's crazy. It's fine. I think that like there is total power in choosing and like in unifying and eloping with another human being. But to say that the one size fits all approach is going to work for everyone in an entire collective of different unique conscious souls, like it's ridiculous. Yeah. So I would say,
make your own rules.
Yeah.
Literally in your relationship.
And that's that.
And they're going to keep evolving.
Through the communication, you can literally say, this is how I feel about this. I don't like this. I like this. And like, okay, well, I don't like this and I like that. And all of a sudden now you start creating your own little boundaries around what kind of relationship you want to have. And you can have whatever you want. You can make it whatever you want. And like, it's so beautiful to not have to follow any certain specific set of rules, but that you two get to create your own rules together.
Yeah.
And those rules that's the law. It's whatever's between me and you is the most important thing. And as long as we're both on the same page and we're acting out of integrity based on those rules that we've created together through honesty and communication, then we can have whatever kind of relationship we want to have, and we can create the most fulfillment that we could ever hope to experience in a relationship together.
Yes. Absolutely. This is so important to say. Like, there are no rules. I mean,
Yeah.
other than the rules that you decide to have. And yeah, and I feel for a long time, yeah, there were some rules that everyone tried to follow because this is what they said we had to do. But even just with the wedding that we were saying earlier.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is very important to say. Thank you so much.
Breaking societal structures in
Yes,
every
little by little. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I wanted to ask you also maybe for people that are out there, maybe they're awakening and they're not doing it in partnership, or maybe they broke up because they realized they were in two different paths. So first of all, I want to tell them that there is hope, and just seeing you guys gave me a lot of hope. But how do they find a relationship like that? How do they attract a partner that matches them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces to this.
Mhm.
First and foremost, above all else, I would go back, like, say, trust your unique journey. Again, it's not going to look like anyone else's, and life knows what it's doing. And truly recognizing that, like, wherever you're at, whether you have a partner or you don't, it's for your evolution. And if you can trust that, then it'll all work out with so much less suffering if you don't resist it. But I also, and then on the other hand, on that, it's like, I really believe it is an attraction, right? It is attracting someone to you as opposed to finding someone. Like, there's this like very human perspective of like, if I want something, I need to go out and find it, right? This very masculine approach. But if if you just focus on your evolution and your healing and becoming the partner that you want to attract, like, what qualities are you looking for? Are you looking for someone who's honest, someone who's playful, someone who loves deeply and passionately, someone who's vulnerable? Like, list out the qualities that you want in a partner, and then ask yourself, like, am I truly embodying these qualities? And if not, like, how can I start to deepen all of these qualities within myself? And that is your work. I think that is really the only thing you have to do to, quote unquote, manifest someone who's going to match you. Because this life is always, you're always attracting opportunities and people and circumstances to you that are matching your level of frequency.
Mhm.
And so, and sometimes people come into our lives and relationships are short-lived because they're meant to teach us something about ourselves. And like, no relationship is a failure. I really believe they're all here to help us evolve. But yeah, if you're single, I think that's just like such a beautiful opportunity to like really focus on you. Because once you're in a relationship, there's so many other parts and pieces to focus on. Like, it's a whole nother level, which is beautiful too. But yeah, if you're single, like, enjoy that time as much as you can to really just like deepen the love within yourself and become the expression of the kind of energy you want to attract back to you. And then like let go of control and like continue to put yourself out there. You can't just hide in a corner and expect to find your person, but like, don't force it. Do what you want to do. Go out to places. Like, if you love to dance, go dance, like, don't think that you have to find your person in any of this one way. Just live your life and truly stay in your own passion and excitement, and continue to do your work, and life will life knows what it's doing. It really does.
Yeah.
But like with Austin, back in the day, I did not know anything about any of this. And I don't know necessarily if I attracted him. I mean, maybe like unconsciously we're always manifesting, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe like life put us on the same path for a reason. We were meant to do this journey together. And like, for some people, they have a different curriculum, but like,
Mhm.
it's exactly what you need. And so just trust it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. And I would add also, because it's something that I needed to hear myself years ago, don't make choices for fear. I
Mm.
mean, just if you find someone, but you realize that you want to stay with them for fear of being alone or not finding anyone better in the future, it's not gonna work for a long time. So this is something that I really needed to realize. To find the right partner, you need to let go the everything that doesn't serve you, even if it's scary, even if you don't know what's gonna happen next. So it's really also, as you said, trusting the process and the universe. And I think this is what is missing for many people. They don't trust that things will work out for them. So they,
Mm-hmm.
you know, staying in the situation that they are because they think there is nothing better coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say too, like, I mean, expounding on the thousand things that she just said, which were all amazing and awesome. I would say like self-love is everything. Like if we can learn to love we're never going to be able to love someone else as deep and until we love ourselves as deeply as we can. Like ultimately you can only meet someone as far as you've gone within yourself. And so choosing your own growth, your own evolution, and your own self love and your own self care, and doing all the things that you love to do. And like all of those, like being truly authentic in your own expression is going to be the thing that pulls in the person who is also being authentic and expressing and like loving themselves too. It's like you're going to find that person at that perfect intersection of life at the moment when you're in your fullest expression, you know, following your own path the best way that you know how and loving yourself as deeply as you can. And so like there's nowhere you need to be. There's nothing like reality is perfect exactly the way it is. If you don't have a partner right now and you're hoping for one, like they're gonna come, but they're not gonna come on your time. Like the timing aspect is just you like leaning and trusting in your own process and being like fully with yourself and with everything, all of your own needs, all of your own desires, and all of your own just authentic will and expression to just be yourself. That's going to pull that person into your field. Like it's just how it's going to work. I don't know how, like it's like she said, I don't know how we happen because it's like, oh well, you think like when you're on this certain part of the path then you would meet this person, but like love doesn't play by any rules, which is what we were just talking about. And so it's like you can't expect, like everyone's journey is going to be completely unique. We were supposed to do it together because there's like we're having this podcast, right? Like we're sharing, like we're being able to bring this love to the forefront of reality for other people to show them that something like this is possible. So like, and this took a decade to build, you know, like these things are, this is like nothing's overnight. Everything is a very long-term, you know, approach, but the returns over time are exponential for the investment that you put into your love and your relationship. So it's like, I think, yeah, just being patient and not expect like letting go of expectations, letting go of judgment of reality, and of the way that you think it should be or is supposed to be, and like enjoy the freedom of being single, like enjoy being yourself and on your own and figuring out who you are. And like eventually you'll have a partner, hopefully, that reflects back to you the other aspects of yourself that you weren't able to find on your own. But ultimately, I think the self discovery, self growth journey that unfolds as a result of not being in a relationship is just as important, if not more so that we can show up better in the relationship when we find one.
Totally. I really, yeah, agree that there is very beneficial to have sometimes on your own to really figure out who you are and, you know, what you like, what you don't like. And even if you had a lot of relationship and they didn't work, still also have hope and learn everything that you can from those relationships. Because as Lily, you both said, you know, relationships are here to teach us something. So it's not a failure if they don't work out. It's just something that they need to teach us. So let's just learn as much as we can from everything that happened in our lives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Um, I have a little tip slash trick that we use all the time that has been one of the most powerful things that we've implemented. And it's super simple, but like I don't know if people have heard the Hawaiian phrase ho'oponopono. It means I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Um, the last like 2 years we've been utilizing it, and it's something that takes a little time and practice and like, but like immediately when there's like a little spat or a little dissonance in the relationship, or just the tiffs that happen inside of any relationship, they're always going to happen. It's supposed to be there. We're polarized entities. Like there's going to be conflict. And that's a sign of a good relationship, if there's a little conflict and there's a little movement. And so when these things happen, though, it's important to like, well, we always come back to is like, there's nothing that matters more than the love that we share. All of the little tiffs and the bullshit that we kind of like throw at each other to cause a little chaos. It's like it's just little insecurities and little wounds that we have still yet to heal inside of ourselves. And so it's like, don't take things personally, because the other person is doing the best that they can and you're doing the best that you can. And so like when that happens, it's like, all right, let's see, I didn't take out the trash and she's upset with me or whatever. And, I can tell that she's being passive aggressive. And so I realize, oh, it's because I didn't do this, or because I haven't been doing this X thing that, I'm supposed to do. And so I just go up to her and I'm like, I tell her, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And the moment that I say that, there is a neutralization of the energetic space between us.
And I say it back.
It will, hopefully. She might say it back. She might be so pissed that she doesn't want to say it back yet. But the moment she reflects it back to me, the whole thing is neutralized, and our nervous systems relax and everything calms down. And like we get to move on with our life, knowing that like that eternal love is still the only thing that matters. And like, I think that a lot of relationships struggle because they hold on to shit for so long, and they have one little thing go wrong, and all of a sudden it's been 3 weeks that they haven't been talking to each other. And like that when you let something fester and grow like that, you're causing a lot of dissonance and distance in your relationship from each other. And like, just to come back to the truth that like the only thing that matters is the love between you two, and to neutralize and to let go of the things that are happening on the surface, knowing that what's deeper is what's most important. That for me has been like the most powerful practice that we've ever put into play. And it's like, once you do it your 100th time, 50th time, it's like now the nervous system responds exactly the way that it wants to, like every time it happens. Mm-hmm. So I would say like that's a really great practice to play with each other. And I would say like it's a huge tool that we've implemented.
I recommend this to everyone. Thank you so much, because it's really life-changing, the little practice. And I remember at Arkadia, the second year, you guys helped me and Gabe so much when we were going through some difficult times during the festival. I don't know, I think you, Lily, suggested this exercise between us, and it changed things completely. And then Austin, you spoke to me, like, open your heart. I don't know how you knew what to tell me at the time, but you said exactly the things that I needed to hear. Lily, you said the exact same things to Gabe, and we resolved it in a few minutes. So it was beautiful. So yeah. Do you do coaching for couples?
Not yet.
Not yet, but if
you should, guys. Yeah, you would save so many couples.
we've thought about it. I think it'll happen eventually. It's just we're letting it come to us, and we'll see. But I think this is the next evolution of our relationship, is sharing it with others, sharing our love, sharing what's possible, sharing our advice, sharing the hardships. Like it would be a disservice to not share this with others, because we've put in almost 10 years of work and love, and have learned a lot from our experience. And so I think this is part of being of service, is now like share that with others. And it's been so fulfilling, because even what he said with community, like we haven't even really understood the power of our relationship as much until we've brought it into other places and spaces where we're like, oh wow, like other people are reflecting back what they see, and now it like helps us to realize what we've cultivated. So again, it's like, look at life as a mirror and the people in it, and it's really beautiful what can happen, and we're all here to help each other in one area or another. Like if you can lean on your community and the people, it's really beautiful. So yeah, it's been really beautiful, and I'm grateful for you for noticing us as well, and seeing us and bringing us onto this podcast to share our voice and our story. Like we're all helping each other grow, and it's really a beautiful symbiotic dynamic. So Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure this episode will help so many people. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And reach out if, if there's anything you want to share with us too, or questions, or you want to hear more, like we love to talk, obviously. So reach out to us and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Valley. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited for you and Gabe and your guys' journey as it unfolds together. And it's been really beautiful to be a part of that as it's been blooming and blossoming. And I'm just really stoked and ecstatic for you guys to go on your own journey together. And we're always here to support you and to love you through whatever we need to be here for or want to be here for. It's, we're always here for you. So
Thank you, guys. You're wonderful. Thank you so much. And you helped already so much. So really, thank you from my heart.
Of course. Thank you.
love you.
You too, guys. Bye.